Hello, Sunday J Clubbers. I'm going to read you an Easter story today from the Bible. So this is something that happened just after the story of Easter itself. It starts on that same day. On that same day, two of Jesus' followers were going to a village named Emmaus, about 12 kilometers from Jerusalem, and they were talking to each other about all the things that had happened. As they talked and discussed, Jesus himself drew near and walked along with them. They saw him, but somehow did not recognize him. Jesus said to them, "What are you talking about to each other as you walk along?" They stood still with sad faces. One of them, named Cleophas, asked him, "Are you the only visitor in Jerusalem who doesn't know the things that have been happening here these last few days?" "What things?" he asked. "The things that happened to Jesus of Nazareth," they answered. "This man was a prophet and was considered by God and by all the people to be powerful in everything he said and did. Our chief priests and rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and he was crucified. And we had hoped that he would be the one that was going to set Israel free. Besides all that, this is now the third day since it happened. Some of the women of our group surprised us. They went at dawn to the tomb, but they couldn't find his body. They came back saying they'd seen a vision of angels who told them that he is alive. Some of our group went to the tomb and found it exactly as the women had said, but they did not see him." Then Jesus said to them, "How foolish you are, and how slow you are to believe everything the prophets said. Was it not necessary for the Messiah to suffer these things and then to enter his glory?" And Jesus explained to them what was said about himself in all the scriptures, beginning with the books of Moses and the writings of all the prophets. As they came near to the village to which they were going, Jesus acted as if he was going further, but they held him back, saying, "Stay with us. The day is almost over and it's getting dark." So he went in to stay with them. He sat down to eat with them. He took the bread and said the blessing, and then he broke the bread and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened and they recognized him, but he disappeared from their sight. They said to each other, "Wasn't it like a fire burning within us when he talked to us on the road and explained the scriptures to us?" And they got up at once and went back to Jerusalem, where they found the 11 disciples gathered together with the others and saying, "The Lord is risen indeed. He has appeared to Simon." The two then explained to them what had happened to them on the road and how they had recognized the Lord when he broke the bread. That's a lovely story, I think. These two friends of Jesus were not his close friends. They weren't part of the 12 disciples, but they were followers of Jesus. They didn't know him quite so well, perhaps, as the 12, and what happened to them as they walked on their long journey. I think we need to remember that Jesus is always with us. These two could see him and touch him as he walked with them. But he's always with us, walking with us as we go about our daily life all the time. And aren't we lucky? I think we'll say a little prayer about that. Dear God, thank you that you are always with us. Through every single day, you're there beside us, helping us to do what's right. And even when we find life very difficult, it's a great comfort to know you are there. Thank you. Amen. Now, when I was little and I heard this story, it bothered me that the two people who were walking to Emmaus didn't recognize Jesus. You have to remember that they weren't two of his special friends, so they didn't know him so well, but they'd obviously seen him and heard him speak. Now, I'm wearing the sort of headdress that Jesus would have worn, to come from that country, in fact. And when I'm walking on a rough path like they were, you tend to look down and watch the stones as you're walking. Now, I strongly suspect that you can't see my face, you can only hear me talking, because I'm watching where my feet are. But when Jesus got to their house, he asked a blessing, like saying grace on the food. And when he did that, he would have put his arms up and looked up to heaven. And I think then you'll find they could see his face. And I think that's why they recognized him then and not before. Today we're going to make a game about the journey from Jerusalem to Emmaus. I'm going to do a fairly simple road, but you can make a more difficult one if you like. So my road's going to go like this. And I'm going to make it quite a wide path. This is the path. We're pretending this is from Jerusalem to Emmaus. When I've got my path, I've chosen a penny because it's about the right size of the path. I need to draw around the penny because this is going to be the places where the counters start as you move along the board. So I'm going to do several circles all the way up along the path. So here's one that I've finished. I haven't coloured it in, but it's sort of finished. So I put start on the first circle and labelled it Jerusalem. And I put Emmaus and finish at the other end. And I've numbered the circles all the way up the path.
Mama, can I go on the horse, please?
Not at the minute, sweetheart. I've put various things on the way. You can put more than I put. This one, number 3, I put some stones there. The road is very stony. And I put trip on some stones, go back 2. So if you land on number 3, you've got to go back to number 1. On number 5, I put stop for a picnic in the shade because I put a tree up there. And so I've said miss a turn. So you'd have to let the other person have 2 turns. Then I've put after lunch, hurry, go on 1. So if you land on number 6, you can go on to number 7. Then number 9, I put stop for a chat. Feel sad, go back 1. So you go back 1 to that one. And then number 12, Jesus joins you, go on 2. You can put more stops in on this, but you may find that you don't want to make them go back too much because there aren't a lot of circles, only 15 on my game. You might want to put more circles on, but if you put, say, go back 6 or something, you're either going to finish it or get miles behind everybody else. So I suggest you only put go on 1 or 2, or go back 1 or 2, or miss a turn. And you can put any other decoration. I haven't coloured mine in, but you could decorate it how you like.